In the quiet town of Hearthstead, a disturbing mystery began to unfold on an ordinary Tuesday morning in May. The sun shone down brightly, but the day would soon reveal its darker side. The crime scene was located in a peaceful suburban neighborhood. Neighbors often knew each other well and greeted one another in passing. However, the appearance of police cars that morning left everyone unsettled. At the heart of this unsettling case was a man named Brock Scott. He was a beloved figure in the community, known for his kind nature and warm smile. In his late 40s, Brock was a father of two and worked as a local teacher. His disappearance sent shockwaves through the area. On that terrible morning, his family reported him missing after he failed to return home from his usual morning jog. This was the first hint that something was very wrong. As family members began to worry, they searched the nearby parks and even called friends, but no one had seen him. Hours passed, and fear grew. Late in the afternoon, Brock's wife called the police to report that her husband was missing. The investigation started immediately, but the community was already on edge. Neighbors gathered in small groups, whispering about what could have happened. Some suggested he may have had an accident, while others whispered about darker possibilities. The police first searched the area where he often ran. They scoured the local parks and pathways, looking for any sign of Brock. They asked if anyone had seen him that morning. It was a strange scene, with officers moving quietly through the trees, hoping to find evidence that would lead them to him. As the day turned into night, the atmosphere grew heavier. The search efforts intensified. Teams started using flashlights, hoping to find clues that could explain his sudden disappearance. Evidence was sparse at first. Brock's mobile phone was found near the park's entrance, broken and in the grass. This discovery raised many questions. Was it accidentally dropped during his run? Or did something happen that made him drop it in a panic? The worried faces of neighbors revealed their fear. As darkness fell, the scent of mystery hung in the air. Speculations grew. Some believed he had simply gone off to escape his life for a while. Others thought there could have been foul play. Was this a targeted attack? Or was it something far more sinister? Within hours, local news outlets started covering the story. Headlines screamed about the missing man and created a sense of urgency. Viewers were invited to help in the search, leading to more eyes watching the search unfold. As the police worked through the night, their determination only heightened. With each passing hour, the stakes became larger, and the urgency for answers grew. As we begin this investigation into the case of Brock Scott, we continue to remember that this is not just a story. It is about real people and real pain. This unsettling mystery not only requires understanding but also respect. Our goal is to inform and raise awareness about the issues facing the community. This case offers important lessons about safety, vigilance, and the unpredictability of life. The looming questions remain: where is Brock Scott? And what happened to him on that fateful morning in Hearthstead? After the alarming disappearance of Brock Scott, law enforcement quickly took action. The local police department was alerted and arrived at Hearthstead to conduct an investigation. Detectives were assigned to the case. They began by securing the area around the last known location of Brock. The atmosphere was tense, with officers moving carefully, hoping for any leads that might reveal what happened. The first step for the investigators was gathering evidence. Officers searched the area thoroughly. They looked for anything that could offer clues to Brock's whereabouts. Specially trained forensic teams examined the place where his phone was found. They collected samples from the ground to see if they could find any fingerprints or DNA. Every detail mattered. In addition, detectives reviewed surveillance footage from nearby stores and street cameras. They hoped to see Brock running in the area that morning. The footage from several cameras was examined closely. Detectives scanned hours of video, looking for Brock's figure. After many hours, they found something promising. They spotted a man running near the park around the same time Brock had vanished. This sighting changed the course of the investigation. Along with the footage, detectives began to interview witnesses in the neighborhood. They wanted to know if anyone had seen or heard anything unusual. They walked from door to door, asking residents about their morning routines. Some neighbors remembered seeing Brock that day, jogging past their houses. Others reported seeing a dark vehicle parked nearby, which had left shortly after Brock was last seen. Detectives took notes, eager for any information that could help. As the investigation progressed, tension started to rise. Some residents became uneasy and shared suspicions. They worried that the small-town life they knew was changing before their eyes. Whispers began circulating about people acting strangely. One neighbor, a man named Carl, came under suspicion. He lived close to the park where Brock had disappeared and had a history of troubling behavior. Carl seemed nervous and gave inconsistent answers during questioning. This made the detectives more curious about him. While they did not have enough proof to link Carl directly to the crime, they marked him as a person of interest. The pressure on law enforcement grew as days passed without finding Brock. The media became involved, broadcasting news updates to the people of Hearthstead and beyond. The case of the missing teacher took hold of public interest. Some reports advised residents to remain vigilant. They wanted to assure the community that the police were doing everything possible to solve the mystery. Detectives worked long hours, determined to uncover the truth for Brock's family. As investigations continued, many emotions flowed through the community. Some felt fear. Others felt hope that Brock would be found alive. His family held on to every possibility, hoping each day would bring new answers. The commitment from the detectives was clear. They would not stop until they found the truth. The entire community felt the weight of this case and watched as the investigation unfolded. With every piece of evidence collected, the hope for resolution grew stronger. This is not a story without signs or signals that require sensitivity. The investigation reflected the strength of a community determined to find its missing teacher. It highlighted the importance of vigilance and cooperation among residents. As the mystery deepened and suspicions rose, one thing remained certain: everyone wanted answers. As the investigation continued, detectives began to uncover unexpected clues. They looked into Brock Scott's past, hoping insights might shed light on his current situation. They discovered that he had a small group of friends who he often jogged with. However, one friend had not been seen for quite some time. His absence raised questions. Could this friend have something to do with Brock's disappearance? This strange connection made the detectives brainstorm new angles to explore. Moreover, the detectives learned that Brock had written about feeling stressed at work. A few weeks before his disappearance, he had expressed concerns over school policies during staff meetings. Some colleagues reported hearing him voice frustration. They noted that he seemed uneasy about many changes happening at the school. This background information became important as the investigation unfolded. Was there someone at school who wanted to hurt him? Did this stress lead to trouble? These questions lingered as more information was gathered. During this time, they also attempted to connect the dots with any previous incidents in the area. While digging into local police reports, detectives found a few cases involving missing people from other towns nearby. These incidents had some elements in common. For instance, they all occurred on sunny Tuesdays, early in the morning. Could this be mere coincidence or a pattern that suggested something deeper? The detectives compiled this information, hoping to make connections that might lead to answers. While positive developments emerged, the investigation faced its troubles too. False leads began to pop up as the media frenzy escalated. Local news stations reported any possible hint they heard. There were rumors about a mysterious package found in the park that caused panic. However, when officers searched the area, they discovered it was nothing more than a discarded lunchbox. Many people felt frustrated. Inevitably, the media pressure contributed to the chaos, resulting in mistrust towards certain witnesses. Some people claimed to see Brock the morning he went missing but later changed their accounts. Witness statements that could have been helpful became confusing. A woman living nearby said she saw Brock jogging. Later, she forgot details, which caused doubt about her truthfulness. The detectives questioned the reliability of other witnesses too. This posed challenges for the investigation. In trying to uncover the truth, they feared that false information might obscure the facts. This moment of uncertainty felt heavy in the air. The community hoped for updates, but no new leads had emerged. The family remained anxious, waiting for any news that could push the investigation forward. In a meeting, detectives emphasized the need for cooperation. They reassured everyone that they were considering all angles. They asked residents to report any tiny detail, no matter how small it was. As days went by, the atmosphere continued to shift. However, one thing remained clear. The goal of finding Brock was stronger than any doubt. The detectives stayed focused on the task at hand despite the chaos around them. Every piece of evidence they gathered brought them closer to revealing the truth. The rising action showcased both hope and struggle. It reminded everyone involved that finding the missing man was not just a goal, but a necessity. Each moment was vital, and every clue counted. In a critical moment for the investigation, detectives received new evidence that would change everything. After carefully analyzing the DNA collected from Brock Scott's phone, forensic experts discovered traces that did not match Brock. The DNA belonged to an unidentified man. This finding sent shockwaves through the investigation team. The detectives had been going in one direction, thinking about those closest to Brock. Now, they had to start looking elsewhere. This breakthrough opened new doors. With the DNA evidence in hand, they enhanced their efforts to find the man to whom the DNA belonged. Detectives reached out to nearby police stations and began a renewed search for matching records. They checked local databases, hoping to identify the person they could now consider a suspect. As they waited for results, tension grew among the team. They knew this discovery could be the key to unlocking the mystery. In a sudden turn, detectives received a report about a suspicious individual seen near the park on the day Brock went missing. Witnesses described a man who matched the profile and even provided a name. His name was Bruce, and he had a history of troubling behavior. Detectives recalled previous interactions with him and decided to pursue this lead rigorously. This new suspect seemed to fit into the picture in ways they had not yet understood. With a clear plan, detectives moved to confront Bruce. They arranged to bring him in for questioning. The atmosphere was tense as they anticipated what he might disclose. Would he provide answers or deny everything? The detectives hoped for clarity to unfold from this encounter. When they arrived at Bruce's home, the moment felt intense. Officers approached the door, hearts racing with anticipation. They knocked firmly but politely. After a moment, Bruce answered, his expression revealing nothing. Detectives introduced themselves and explained why they were there. As they spoke with him, they noticed his nervousness. He fidgeted and avoided eye contact. From the moment of confrontation, Bruce's demeanor raised suspicions. As the interview progressed, detectives mentioned the critical DNA evidence. Directly confronting him with this information shifted the stage. They explained how his DNA had been found on Brock's phone and made it clear that this was very alarming. Bruce's face paled, and the air thickened with tension. He began to stutter as he responded, making statements that left the police wanting to know more. The detectives skillfully guided the conversation, focusing on the details of that morning. During the questioning, Bruce commented that he had met Brock before during community events. He tried to downplay the connection, emphasizing that they were not friends. However, as he spoke, inconsistencies in his story raised more questions. His alibi began to crumble under scrutiny as detectives crossed through his answers, leaving little room for escape. At this moment, the investigation had taken a dramatic turn. The anticipation built among the officers as they prepared for what could be an explosive confession. The potential motives behind his actions became clearer. Jealousy and anger over personal issues could have played a significant role. The stakes were high, and truth felt close yet distant. As tensions mounted, detectives knew they must tread carefully. While the pieces began to fit together, there was still a long road ahead. The pressure to reveal Brock's fate was at the forefront of everyone's minds. The community held its breath as the investigation reached this critical stage, where hope clashed with uncertainty. As detectives continued to question Bruce, the pressure became more intense. He was aware that the evidence was stacked against him. The atmosphere felt heavy in the room. Bruce struggled to maintain his composure. Each question from the detectives pushed him further into a corner. His nervous energy betrayed his calm facade. Bruce fidgeted with his hands and avoided direct eye contact. It was clear that he was feeling the weight of suspicion. During the questioning, Bruce's initial calm demeanor began to crack. When the detectives asked about his whereabouts on the day Brock disappeared, he hesitated. At first, he insisted he had been home all morning. But the detectives pressed harder, reminding him of the DNA evidence found on Brock's phone. This revelation caused a noticeable shift in his demeanor. Bruce's hand shook slightly, and he swallowed hard. The fear in his eyes was growing, reflecting paranoia over being exposed. In an attempt to manipulate the detectives, Bruce began to shift the focus of the discussion. He claimed he was simply a target of coincidence and that the police were mistaken. He said he never even saw Brock that morning, painting himself as a victim of bad luck. "I don't know what you want from me," he said, trying to sound confused and innocent. This tactic was clear. Bruce hoped to divert attention away from his actions and doubts. Despite his protests, detectives noted that he often used phrases like, "I was busy," or "I didn't do anything." These phrases suggested that he was avoiding the real origin of his feelings. As they dug deeper, Bruce's story started to fall apart. It became obvious that he was trying to play a game of manipulation. He began to express frustration with the police as if they were out to get him rather than seeking justice for Brock. This behavior revealed how he was grappling with the pressure of the situation. The detectives skillfully turned the pressure up. They remained calm and collected. Knowing that he was uncomfortable, they introduced a psychological angle, emphasizing that the truth would help him. They urged him that cooperating could lead to understanding. They reminded him that fear was not the answer, and that the community wanted answers. In truth, the detectives were trying to break Bruce's defenses and get him to reveal the truth. Finally, in a moment of weakness, Bruce's facade began to crack. He hung his head low as the tension in the room grew. It was clear he was feeling overwhelmed. The detectives seized the opportunity to promote honesty. They stated they understood how stressful this all must be, and that sharing what happened could ease his burden. After a moment of silence, Bruce lifted his head and spoke. The pain behind his eyes showed the pressure had taken a toll. "I didn't mean for it to happen," he confessed in a low voice. His tone had changed, revealing a mixture of fear and sadness. These words hung heavily in the air, a pivotal moment in the investigation. What had begun as deflection was now evolving into a confession. The detectives felt the weight of what this could mean, but remained attentive to every word he had to say. As Bruce spoke, more details emerged. He explained that envy and desperation had pushed him to act. Sins of the past came flooding back, and he felt trapped in choices that would haunt him forever. It was a chilling moment, exposing the fragile nature of human emotions when confronted. In this climactic point, the investigation took an unexpected turn, painting a darker picture of the events that led up to Brock Scott's disappearance. The truth was beginning to unravel, each thread intricately linked to the tragedy that unfolded on Hearthstead. After Bruce's confession, the investigation moved quickly into the legal phase. Authorities prepared to charge him with serious crimes related to the disappearance of Brock Scott. The legal process began with the arraignment, where Bruce faced a judge. He entered the courtroom, appearing nervous but still trying to keep a calm face. Many people from the community attended the hearing. They waited for answers about Brock and what had happened to him. As the charges were presented, the courtroom was tense. People held their breath, waiting to hear the details of the crime. Bruce was charged with serious offenses, including abduction and endangerment. His actions had shocked the entire town. News of the case spread rapidly via media outlets. Family members of Brock felt a whirlwind of emotions, mixing anger and sadness in the wake of Bruce's admission. They wanted justice for the beloved teacher who had vanished from their lives. After the arraignment, the next step was to prepare for trial. As lawyers began discussing options, Bruce's defense team considered a plea bargain. They believed this might lessen his sentence in exchange for a guilty plea. However, the prosecution was firm in seeking a full trial. They had a strong case, including Bruce's confession, DNA evidence, and witness testimonies. Each piece of evidence painted a disturbing picture of events. As the trial began, the courtroom witnessed intense drama. The prosecution provided gripping details about the investigation, unveiling shocking evidence that had emerged during the inquiry. Forensic experts detailed their findings, highlighting the DNA evidence tying Bruce to the crime. Witnesses who had seen Bruce near the park that morning testified about his suspicious behavior. Their statements solidified the case against him. On the other side, the defense attempted to create doubts. They tried to argue that Bruce's mental health issues impaired his judgment. They presented testimony from a psychologist who explained Bruce's behavior as a reaction to overwhelming pressure. However, this defense tactic did not gain much support from the jury. The evidence was clear, and the emotional weight of Brock's family was palpable throughout the hearings. As the trial progressed, a pivotal moment occurred. A key witness, a neighbor who had seen Bruce near the scene, revealed more details. Her clear recollection assisted the jury in understanding the timeline of events. She explained that she saw Bruce speaking to Brock just before the latter's disappearance. This testimony led to a turning point in the trial. The jury began to agree with the prosecution's view and the idea that Bruce's actions were not accidental. The impact of this case echoed through the community. Residents followed every development closely. They discussed the trial at their workplaces, schools, and homes. Many expressed fear over the safety of their own families, concerned that such a crime happened in their town. Others felt that justice was vital, not just for Brock, but for the peace of mind of everyone in the community. As discussions continued, the court awaited a verdict. The jury was tasked with making a crucial decision. Would they believe the defense's theory, or would they side with the overwhelming evidence presented by the prosecution? The anticipation felt almost tangible, as everyone hoped for justice. As the trial reached its conclusion, the weight of what had happened loomed large over both the courtroom and the community. Everyone awaited what would happen next, holding on to the hope that justice would eventually prevail. As the trial of Bruce unfolded, it quickly captured the attention of not only the local community, but also the broader media. News reports covered every detail, showing images of the courtroom, the affected family, and the tense atmosphere. The case became high-profile, filling newspapers and news channels with updates. Reporters interviewed community members who expressed shock and disbelief that such an event could unfold in their town. Many residents tuned in to follow the trial closely, eager for answers about Brock Scott's disappearance. Public reaction varied widely. Some people were quick to form strong opinions about the case. Many felt a sense of outrage towards Bruce, seeking justice for Brock and hoping for a harsh sentence. Others displayed empathy towards Bruce, believing that mental health struggles may have contributed to his actions. This division created discussions among citizens about the complexity of human decisions and the consequences that trauma can bring. Social media played a significant role in shaping public perception. Many members of the community shared their thoughts and feelings online. This led to a mix of support for Brock's family and fierce criticism of Bruce. Lack of trust in the legal system emerged too, with some individuals voicing doubts about whether justice would truly be served. This discourse made the situation even more emotional for Brock's family, as they grappled with how their tragedy became a subject of public debate. As time passed and the trial concluded, the jury announced their verdict. Bruce was found guilty on multiple charges related to Brock's disappearance. The community reacted with mixed emotions. Relief washed over many, knowing that justice had been served. At the same time, lingering questions remained. What truly happened the day Brock vanished? Was there more to Bruce's story than met the eye? Even with the verdict, doubts continued to cloud certain aspects of the case. Conspiracy theories soon began to emerge. Some began speculating that there had been others involved, claiming that Bruce could not have acted alone. Websites and social media platforms buzzed with allegations and ideas about hidden motives and side stories, while investigators continuously assured residents that the investigation was thorough. The presence of these conspiracy theories threatened to tarnish the case's credibility. Even when substantial evidence existed, some people found it challenging to accept the straightforward narrative. In response to growing confusion and unrest, the police department released statements offering clarity on the case. They reiterated the facts gathered through the investigation and shared how deeply they continued to care for the community and for Brock's family. This was an effort to allay fears regarding any misconceptions and the insistence that what had happened was resolved legally. Furthermore, they promised ongoing assessments of community safety, seeking to reassure residents that such a tragedy would not be repeated. As months passed following the conclusion of the trial, the town began to heal from the events. Brock's family held a memorial, inviting both supporters and members of the community. The service was a way to honor his memory while fostering unity among residents. People returned to their daily lives, but the events surrounding Brock's disappearance would always linger. For many, it served as a reminder of vulnerability and the deep impacts of crime not just on victims, but on entire communities. This case would forever mark Hearthstead, leaving behind lessons about the importance of mental health awareness and community vigilance. As the dust settled, people hoped to move toward a peaceful future while holding on to hope and healing. Everyone would take with them the memory of Brock Scott and strive to ensure such tragedies would be prevented in the years to come. The case of Brock Scott came to a conclusion that left many emotions stirring. With the conviction of Bruce, justice was served in a way, but it was clear that many questions lingered. Brock's family felt a mix of relief and grief. They had waited for answers, and although the truth came out in court, their pain remained. Justice had been served, but the loss of Brock could never be undone. His absence would forever affect the family, friends, and community. As the trial concluded, several issues came to light. The community began to focus on safety and prevention. Many discussions occurred around improving support systems for mental health. Perhaps understanding the motivations behind Bruce's actions might prevent future tragedies. The case raised awareness about the importance of mental health support and resources. Sadly, many people struggle with their minds, and this often goes unnoticed until it is too late. The criminal act also raised questions about community vigilance. Neighbors wondered how they can better look out for one another. The feeling of safety is precious, and the reality of violence shatters that sense. This case served as a reminder that we should be alert to each other's needs. Encouraging open conversations about concerns within the community becomes vital. This can create trust, and it reminds people that they are not alone. Some policies also emerged as a result of Brock's case. Local officials considered law changes to enhance protective measures for residents. They discussed implementing better training for law enforcement to deal with cases involving mental illness. The aim was to provide a more supportive environment for those who had such struggles. By understanding psychological aspects related to criminal behavior, it may be possible to intervene earlier and prevent future incidents. Looking deeper into Bruce's motivations offers more insights. His actions may have stemmed from complex emotional and psychological issues. Feeling overwhelmed can push individuals into dire situations where they feel trapped. Education about mental health could guide people towards seeking help before resorting to extreme measures. Reflecting on this may teach us all the importance of compassion and understanding within our communities. As the dust settled on this heartbreaking case, many were left pondering. Did true justice prevail? Was Bruce's punishment enough to honor Brock's memory? In the community's heart, there lies a haunting question. Could justice ever truly be served in this case, where a life was lost and a family forever changed? In closing, it is crucial for us to engage with these feelings and thoughts. Each moment reminds us of the importance of community awareness, mental health support, and prevention. We all have a role to play when it comes to caring for one another. It is not just the responsibility of those in positions of authority or care, but each citizen can contribute to a safer and more connected community. As you reflect on this case, consider your part. How can we ensure that no one else feels lost or alone? The journey for justice and healing continues, and we must remain vigilant for ourselves and for others.